Welcome to the Commercial Property Podcast. My name is Suzi Carter. I am a chartered surveyor. I've been involved in commercial property in the UK for 30 years and I've done hundreds of commercial property deals. I'm here to be your guide through the commercial property market, whether you're an experienced investor or whether you're literally thinking about dipping your toe in the world of commercial real estate. I will be here talking to you about all kinds of things commercial real estate in the UK, and I've also got some fantastic guest experts who are joining me. So please do subscribe if you'd like to follow, and if you'd like any more help or information on commercial real estate, please do click www.suzicarter.com, which is my website, and you can find out all the ways I can help you. So stay tuned for this week's episode. Welcome back to the Commercial Property Podcast, and today we're going to talk about moments in time where there's more motivation in the market than there perhaps might be at other times. And of course, that's super important for us because when there's motivation amongst vendors, for whatever reason that might be, it means that we can potentially pick up deals at better prices. So it's really important as investors that we understand these points of motivation. Now, of course, one of the biggest lessons that I've learned over the last 30 years in real estate is that if you buy at the right price, if you buy at a low price, then you're going to make money from that deal no matter what you do. And certainly in my own investing, that has absolutely been borne out. So this stuff is super, super important. And we've got a really big moment in time motivation coming up, which is basically, I would say, from the beginning of September to early October. So 3 to 4 weeks in 2025. And the reason that this is coming up is because we have the October budget. That's somewhere between the 28th of October and the 4th of November. Now, in the October budget 2024, there was lots of tax surprises on inheritance tax, capital gains tax for commercial. And so vendors will be worried. Vendors are worried about this. And now in August, everybody's on holiday, on their sun lounges, not worrying about it. As soon as they're back to business at the beginning of September, the urgency will hit. So speed and certainty will be absolutely key for vendors in this market. So expect there to be a moment in time motivation. To take advantage of that moment in time, what you need to do is you need to ideally be in cash, but you need to be able to move quickly. So, in your offers, say, 6-week completion, 4-week completion, if you can, try and move as quickly as you can to get these deals done, because that is definitely going to get you the best deals. But, we have these moments in time for motivation for vendors frequently. And one of the skills as a property investor is trying to spot them. So usually when there is fear, usually when there is uncertainty, that's when there is more motivation. So the skill is to observe the masses and do the opposite. So when there's headlines of the newspapers, kind of spreading mass hysteria, which they do, because that sells newspapers. So, a big element of that won't be correct. Sentiment worsens. And what we're interested in as investors is sentiment, because when sentiment is low, that's when motivation is high. And to find motivated vendors, we can pick up deals at great prices. We can pick up creative deals like options, exchange delay completion. We can pick things up at lower prices. So that's what we're super, super interested in. So, some of the telltale signs that you need to be looking at are some of the headlines of the papers, inflation going up. That might mean that interest rates aren't going to go down quite as quickly as everyone anticipated. Budgets, which, at the moment seem to herald bad news, unfortunately, and tax increases, which obviously is not great for anybody in business or in real estate investment. And times when there is kind of fear of something on the horizon, which may or may not materialize. So we're in a market now, I don't know whether you believe in the 18-year cycle. I mean, if you look at the evidence, it's quite compelling. And the 18-year cycle is telling us that in 2026, we are going to basically come off the back of the cycle we've been in. We'll either have a crash or a correction, or there'll be some form of black swan event, which happens periodically. What that means is we go into a down market. Now, the commercial property market has been low for the last 2 to 3 years. But, what we're talking about is more widespread fear. Now, Trump hasn't helped this year. There's been some fear in pockets around that. There's been fear and uncertainty around government policies, especially around tax increases. There's fear and uncertainty around potential market drops, and we're already seeing the residential market falling in the southeast and in London. And so, these are perfect moments in time to capitalize. Now, what we're not doing is taking advantage of people. Like, that is absolutely not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we are looking to capitalize on moments to help vendors out. Now, yes, you can probably pick things up for a lower price. Yes, you could be more creative, but things need to be a win-win. We need to find out what vendors' motivations are and try and tick those boxes. And actually, they might be willing to, vendors might be willing to take a lower price for the fact that you can do a 2 to 4 week completion, for example, because speed and certainty is what they're looking for. So in those two words, we can actually get to the crux of how you can position yourselves to find motivated vendors. So number one, speed. So are you a cash buyer? In the commercial property market, cash is king, especially at the moment. The commercial finance market is getting easier and easier, actually. Lenders are relaxing their policies, but it's still much tighter than it was, say, 3-4 years ago.
This episode is brought to you by Bond Finance Limited, your trusted partner for commercial property mortgage solutions. Are you an experienced residential property investor about to diversify into commercial property, looking for funding options? Bond Finance can help. Whether you're planning to expand, refinance, or make a major property investment, Bond Finance provides expert advice with access to a wide range of lenders, from high street to specialist. Book a free discovery session today to explore how we can tailor commercial funding solutions to your unique investment strategy. Visit www.bondfinanceltd.co.uk and take the next step in your commercial finance journey.
So, cash buyers are absolutely king because, of course, you're not waiting for lengthy finance approvals. You're not waiting for commercial valuations to come. What you're looking for is, vendors will see a cash buyer and they will prefer to do a lower deal to a cash buyer than they will to do a higher deal, a higher price rather, to an investor that needs commercial finance. That's just a fact. That's what happens in the market. And commercial agents know this. So, if you are a cash buyer, if you're very motivated and you can move quickly, you're going to get into that little black book of commercial agents, little black book, which basically sends you off-market opportunities before they've even hit the market. And, in some parts of the country, not everywhere, but in some parts of the country, around 70% of deals are done off-market. So don't even touch the portals. So you're there happily chugging through all the portals and you're looking at LoopNet every day and you're looking at local agents' websites. These deals don't even hit those because there's a group of trusted investors who will deliver that agents want to deal with. So that is the crux of the issue. That is the key. So speed is king. So you need to know what you're doing, not ask too many complicated questions. Obviously, do your due diligence properly. Of course, that's what you need to do. Get all the surveys you need to do done, but have people lined up, ready to go. Have a solicitor that's going to motor and get on with things. And also be a cash buyer. Cash is absolutely king. And then certainty. So all of, cash gives certainty. So, it's kind of, it goes back, all roads lead to cash, basically. So if you can be a cash buyer, now, of course, you don't have to have your own cash. You can work with investors. You can work with JV partners. You can have a bridging facility ready to go. It doesn't have to be cash that you've got sitting in the bank, kind of that's burning a hole in your pocket. It can be other forms of cash. You just need to have that liquid money ready to go to buy deals, because for a motivated seller, speed and certainty is key. And of course, there's different types of motivation. And motivation in the commercial world can vary from the residential world. So, for example, there's always a finance angle sometimes, so they might be coming up to refinance. And a lot of refinances from 5 years ago, the rates are much higher. The LTVs might be lower. The stress test is more stringent. So therefore, potentially the mortgages that can be achieved on some commercial properties, especially retail, might be worse than they would have been 5 years ago. So that there's a real motivation there. Also, if tenants have left, then obviously the property's vacant, they're not income producing, they may not be able to get finances easily. Also, there's more risk there associated, so the valuation is going to be lower. So again, there's more risk there. And sometimes the net asset value, it can be negative if the finance is higher than the rent, because rents have gone down on certain types of property. So again, you see motivation. Also, you have those life events, the life events which are divorce, retirement, separation, death, unfortunately. I speak to a lot of family of deceased commercial owners that just want somebody who can move quickly just to take this problem off their hands. And, I think commercial owners or property investors, we kind of build our legacy for the next generation, but not everybody in the next generation actually wants to take advantage of that legacy and actually just wants to cash in and doesn't want to manage any properties. So, and again, speed and certainty is key. They don't want to mess around. If someone wants to retire, they want to retire. They don't want to have this, once they've decided to move on, they just need to get the property gone. And there might be a situation where that's the case. Also, if there's a lot of repair that needs doing on the property, one of my clients is buying a property for a very low price because there's a substantial amounts of repair. Now, obviously, you need to work out in that situation whether it's actually a deal or not, because, does the amount of repairs actually equal a price that's higher than the actual valuation of the property? But that's the skill in property investment. But, if the property is dilapidated, empty, needs a lot of repair, again, the motivation of the vendor is going to be pretty strong. And you also get these times in the market when there's fear, when it's like, oh gosh, I've been thinking about selling that property, but I think I probably better get it out there. I'd probably better get it on the market as quickly as possible. And obviously that is super, super key to get moving forwards quicker. So it's really important to look at motivation in commercial. So how do you spot them? Well, the first thing is, have you ever noticed those V boards on commercial property where it's for sale and to let? And that is a sure sign of motivation, because that property is probably empty and that vendor just wants that problem gone. So they put this V board on the property to sell or to let, and actually they take all options. Like, that's a surefire sign of a deal that can be done. Obviously, dilapidated, unrented properties. You could do a search on some of the portals like Searchland, CoStar, Nimbus, to find properties that were bought 5 years ago. So maybe they've got 5-year finance on them. You can also find out properties that were purchased maybe 20 or 30 years ago, where vendors might be coming up to retirement. You can find them that way. But the absolute best way to find motivated vendors is through agents. They will have a pool of investor clients who they will be acting for, and they will know that they can, they will go to their agents first, they will get everything priced, and then they will send them out. So there will be a proportion of vendors that won't want to pay agents' fees. And so, that's where direct to vendor can work really well. But a big proportion, want an agent to cast their eye over it and look at it for them as well. So, look out for those telltale signs. So as I say, there is going to be this window of opportunity opening up for a very, very small period this year, where there's fear around the budget. So this is a classic sign of kind of fear around the budget, and therefore, vendors thinking, what's the chancellor going to come up with next? So let's get this property out. And, you really have to move quickly to take advantage of that. So what can you do? Well, you need to be looking at the portals every day. You need to have some great agent relationships and ask agents, when you meet them for viewings or speak to them on the phone, whether they ever do deals off market. You need to stress your credibility with agents. I'm a cash investor. I can move really quickly. I've got a track record and a portfolio in commercial property or just in property. So, anything that improves your credibility, build a rapport with the commercial agents. They will want to work with you and want to help you. And then obviously, once you actually do transact on a deal, you need to move quickly. You need to, do what you say you're going to do when you said you were going to do it. And once you've bought a deal through an agent, once you've bought a deal from a vendor, they might have other properties available. And obviously, if commercial agents, they will put you in that pool of clients where they know that you deliver. And then basically the world's your oyster. You will get sent deals very often on a weekly basis, which are off market, because you're in that very small pool of trusted investor clients. So watch out for the motivation this year. I'll keep you posted as to how I see the market going for the rest of the year. But motivation amongst vendors in property is super key, because buying at the right price is a surefire way to make money in commercial property.